Korean electronics giants Samsung and LG compete in just about every area in which they operate in the smartphone space, though Samsung's Android-powered lineup remains top dog. Not only is it the world's top handset manufacturer, but its Galaxy range, headed by the Galaxy S5, also represents the most familiar face of Android in the eyes of consumers. LG has had a comparatively shaky start in the smartphone world, but in past week it's finally brought its most compelling handset yet, the LG G3, to the US market with eye-catching specs like a 5.5-inch Quad HD display and an impressive optically stabilized camera. The LG G3 represents one of the more credible challengers to the incumbent Samsung, but the GS5 itself is Samsung's strongest flagship yet the manufacturer's first proper water-resistant flagship, with a built-in heart rate monitor and biometric security to boot. We've had both devices in our hands for some time now, so it's time to put them head-to-head and see how they compare hardware and performance. Like most high-end Android phones released this year, LG and Samsung's 2014 flagships run Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 processors. Both phones use the fastest 2.5 GHz variant with 16 or 32 GB of internal storage. Samsung's coupled its CPU with 2 GB of RAM across the board, but with LG your RAM size will depend on which model you pick up. G3s with 32 GB of internal storage will get 3 GB of RAM, while the 16 GB variant comes paired with 2 GB. We've tested both flavors of G3 and haven't found any massive performance delta between the two. Nevertheless, the 3 GB model should have the upper hand when it comes to memory-intensive apps, and it's a shame it's not widely available in some part of Europe. Elsewhere you'll get removable batteries and removable storage in both devices. MicroSD cards up to 128 GB are supported, while there's a 200 mAh difference in battery capacity, 2800 mAh in the GS5, 3000 mAh for the G3. Given that the G3 has to power a much higher resolution display than the GS5 with only a slightly beefier battery, you might expect longevity to have suffered in the LG device, but in our experience that's not quite the case. Both handsets have managed to get us through a full day of moderate to heavy use, racking up between 14 and 16 hours between charge. But the G3 frequently came out on top in terms of screen on time, averaging a little over 4 hours compared to 3 on the GS5. Raw performance is difficult to quantify, as it's impacted by touch responsiveness and animation speed as much as pure hardware muscle. However, the Galaxy S5 has a slight edge in some areas. The fact that it's pushing fewer pixels through the same hardware gives it an advantage in graphically intensive games, producing higher frame rates than the G3 inches testing. What's more, the various UI animations seem a touch faster on Samsung's device. The LG G3 is no slouch, but unfortunately it is more prone to dropping frames in certain animations, particularly in the stock launcher. Both devices are as fast as any high-end Android phone in day-to-day use, but the GS5 feels slightly smoother than the G3 inches doing so. The LG G3 scores a clear win on pixel density with its 2560 by 1440 resolution panel, boasting a ridiculous 538 pixels per inch. As we said in our G3 review, though, the device's main strength is its screen size, not its resolution. Being able to carry around a 5.5-inch display in a smartphone that's barely any bigger than the 5-inch competition is a big deal, and one that makes rivals seem decidedly poxy. But despite its ample size and pixel density, the G3 can't match the color quality of the Galaxy S5, appearing slightly washed out by comparison. While regular apps and web pages look great on either display, photos and videos will be best served by Samsung's 1080p Super AMOLED panel. In our Galaxy S5 review we also praised the daylight visibility of Samsung's latest display, which is easier to see in direct sunlight than any previous AMOLED effort. That said, the G3 is also a strong performer in this area, and we've had no trouble using that 5.5-inch display in bright sunshine. Verdict: these are two of the very best Android phones on the market right now. Whether you pick up the LG G3 or the Samsung Galaxy S5, you're getting a solid high-end Android phone with outstanding performance and a great feature set, and that makes the choice between the two a very tough one. Both boast speedy internals, swappable batteries and storage options, and compelling feature set, but we've got to make a choice, and in this instance we're siding with the LG G3. Beyond the standout specs, the G3 is just a really solid all-rounder. It delivers a significantly bigger screen than the GS 5 inches, only a slightly larger hardware footprint. It's got a camera that produces great results in daylight and low light, and LG's pared-back approach to software design feels fresher and less imposing than Samsung's TouchWiz. As we said in our review, the best thing about the G3 isn't the display, the software features, or even the camera. That there's no real Achilles heel to be found. Unlike many competitors, it isn't bad at anything, and maybe that's what really sets it apart. Thanks for watching nũTECH channel. Stay tuned, and subscribe for more videos.